Got a question for you. How how do you define, or how do you understand what someone else is truly like? Whether they're a friend, coworker, family member. How do you narrow down who they are as a person? Not necessarily their uh, likes and wants, their favorites, or anything like that, but who they are, how they act. So, over the years, obviously this has evolved for me, defining what someone is, how they are. I've heard, how are they around their family? How do they treat their mother, their father, their siblings, their cousins, their family members, friends? How do they treat them? While true, that is a defining character, trying to define someone by that way kind of already defines a bias. Because most people at least like their family and friends. So they're already starting like that, or they wouldn't be hanging around their family and friends. Coworkers, well, that's kind of a different issue. So what I've noticed is it's not how they treat people that they love. It's not how they treat people that they like. Even if it's just coworkers that you meet here and there and you associate with throughout your day, your weeks, whatever. The way to really break down into somebody's core of who they are is to see how they treat people that they don't like, that they maybe even hate. How do they treat them? That's the baser version of that person. How you treat each other as friends and family usually comes from years of learning each other, but there's also, as family, usually are exceptions, there are usually comes from just a basic connection that you have with these people from birth. Your aunts, your uncles, your mother, your father. But if you grow up and you hate one of your family members, how do you treat them? How are you treating somebody you hate? Is that an exception to who you are? Or is that kind of defining what's underneath the superficial you? Do you lash out in violent rage and anger? Do you simply walk away? Do you try to sabotage their life? For me, that's where I see as defining of who somebody really is. How do they treat people that they hate? And you can kind of look around you and start asking that question. People that aren't like you, how do they treat you? Now, we can find differences with each other. I mean, that's easy. I mean, Society teaches us that all around. So when you look at those differences, and they see those differences with you, how do they treat you? If they're not family, if they're not friends, maybe even not coworkers, if it's somebody you know does not like you, somebody you know maybe even hates you for whatever reason, that's irrelevant. How do they treat you? Are they sabotaging your life? Are they trying to get under your skin, picking at you, throwing things at you? Maybe even they do violent things to you. For me, that's kind of where I have found defines a person, is how they treat people they don't like. Then I'm not talking necessarily about a bully, though that does kind of lean in that direction. Bullies, especially in the teenage years, it's a thing that comes and goes. It's a hormonal shift. So when you're looking around and you see people interacting and you know one person hates another person and how they treat that person, understand that at their core, if you are enacting with this person, how their hate, how their anger, how their resentment of another person, that's who they are. Maybe they don't show it to you because maybe you're friends, maybe you're even family. But when you get close, if you accidentally say the wrong word to them, if you accidentally hint at something that's upsetting to them, they could flip. And that aggression that you saw, that they displayed to somebody else, that'd be coming right to you. Now maybe this person doesn't display an aggressive, violent anger. Maybe they're just simply, they walk away. They go on about their life and just try to avoid. I mean, there's many different versions of how hatred and anger and resentment, how that's presented. But that's where you really get to define a person. You don't, at least in my learning, it's harder to really get a beat on something by defining them by their good points. You get the best read on somebody by defining them by their bad points. If the worst they do is quietly walk away, if the worst they do is stop and just not feed that angry wolf, not feed the hatred wolf. If they just go on, they're like, you and I will never get along. I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. You drain my energy from me. And they just walk away. That's who that person really is at the core. And if that's the worst, if that's their lowest bar, they're probably a really good person. And someone to be around. Now maybe, you're never going to be the best of friends, but it could be someone that you can count on. Someone that you could form a relationship with of some sort. Well, I just thought I'd kind of pass this on, this musing, this daily thought. I mean, if you believe differently, if you have learned differently, please feel free to share and explain. That's what this whole group is about. It's about sharing, learning, growing, hanging out, learning to be better for and with each other and around each other. Learning to understand how to interact with people that are not like us, that don't think like we do, that don't believe like we do. So that's the daily thought. Thank you for joining. Have a good day.